sponsors, very important. Okay, Randy, you can start.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Meet the Candidates here on BCTV in partnership with the Commons and the Brattleboro Reformer. My name's Randy Holhut, and over the next hour, we'll be hearing from the candidates running for the Windham Southeast School District Board. There are 5 candidates and 4 open seats, with the Guilford 3-year term being the only contested race. Melanie Winters from the Brattleboro Reformer and I will spend the next hour asking questions of the candidates.
Now, the candidates will have 90 seconds to respond to each question before we move on to the next candidate. Now, this is a chance for everybody to learn where the candidates stand on the important issues facing our community. We'll make sure that each candidate has a fair opportunity to answer each question. Now, let's meet the candidates. First, we have Deborah Stanford, who's running for a 3-year term in Dummerston. And we have Matthew Shibley, my apologies.
All good.
Brattleboro running for a 1-year seat, a 3-year seat, excuse me. And then we have Kelly Young, who is from Guilford, running in one of the contested races for the 3-year seat. And Jocelyn Fritz, also from Guilford, running for the 3-year contested seat. And finally, we have Jessica Everlith from Dummerston, running for a 1-year seat. Welcome, and thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And let's get right into the introduction of the folks in front of you. So, as you may know, and if you don't, you should know, that the Windham Southeast School District is made up of Brattleboro, Dummerston, Guilford, and Putney. And on Election Day, voters will be voting for candidates in all towns, not just the town you live in. Given that some people may not know who you are, will you tell the voters a little bit about yourself and why you're running? We'll begin with you, Deborah.
Okay, thank you. I'm grateful for this opportunity to consider my contributions to this district. I'm focused on mirrors and windows, and that mirror enables me to consider what I bring to the process, and the window enables me to consider issues from the perspectives of others, and that means I need to observe and listen intently. I'm particularly proud of my work with students. We now have 2 student reps on the school board, and I have been an advisor since the inception of that program 3 years ago. And at the same time, we have a student advisory committee at the high school, and I'm proud to be an advisor to that group. It's the students who have a keen understanding of the quality of their education, and it is with their help that I'm able to fine-tune my focus. I'm also proud of the relationships that I have built with adults, school members, school board members, administrators, community members. There's an expression, lean into your discomfort, and we do that through acceptance, and we do that through listening more than talking. I bring that same skill set to my work as chair. We are most effective when we accept each other, when we listen to each other, and when we laugh with each other, and when we care about each other as human beings. From that foundation, we are able to set goals in the spirit of collaboration. Together, we are fully invested in our students and our staff at every level. Thank you.
Matthew?
Hi, my name is Matt Shibley. I am a husband and proud father of 2 boys in our district from Green Street and BAMS. I am a psychotherapist who's worked at both the Brattleboro Retreat and HCRS, and I had my own private practice in Brattleboro for many years. I'm currently the executive director of a small therapeutic school in East Hampton, Massachusetts called NERI, which stands for the Northeastern Adolescent Research Institute. I've been on the board for almost 2 years now, and I am excited to be considered again for a 3-year seat this time around. I am deeply invested in this community. I consider myself to be a staff-centered member of the board, meaning one of my goals and hopes is to really ensure that the district is bringing the highest quality educators in, and that they are supported to be able to do incredible work. I've often spoke at board meetings about how I feel like the Windham Southeast District, of the 4 districts, is in Windham is the best, and I intend to keep it that way.
Okay, Kelly.
My name is Kelly Young, and I'm running for the open position on the school board representing the town of Guilford. I'm a lifelong Vermonter. I grew up in Brattleboro, and I moved to Guilford in 2003 with my family. I'm familiar with the challenges faced by rural Vermont. Both my husband and I remain committed to the values of the Guilford community and the larger school district community. Our children attended Guilford Central School and Academy School, all four graduating from Brattleboro Union High School. As both a parent and a community member, I have firsthand knowledge of the schools in the district. I have dedicated 6 years of service across various local school boards, serving on the Guilford School Board prior to the school district merger in 2019, and subsequently on the WSESD and WSESU boards. During this time, I held the position of chair for the WSESD for 2 years, vice chair of the WSESU for 1 year, and chair of the Personnel Committee, in addition to contributing to various other committees. I spearheaded the creation of comprehensive resource binder for the school board, which I believe they still use. As part of a 10-member board, I have enjoyed working with other individuals who have made the needs of our students their priority. It is only through our collective efforts that we are able to achieve the goals established by the Continuous Improvement Plan. I firmly believe that communication among all stakeholders is essential to achieving the best outcomes for students, who must remain our primary focus. As a skilled listener, I foster a collaborative approach to decision-making, ensuring that all voices are heard and valued through the process. My time appears to be up. I thank you very much. I welcome any questions that anyone else in the community has for me.
Okay, Jessica.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Jessica Everlith. I'm I'm on the school board now, filling a vacancy, and I'm running to continue to fill that vacancy for the next year from Dummerston. What I bring to the school board is I'm a very values-driven individual, so I focus from a place of values, and that is really what guides me and helps me with decision-making and figuring out how I work towards my purpose. So I want to take the values of the school board, I'm very aligned with them as we kind of figure out what they are, and use those to help students, teachers, and all of the families in the community and administrators as well in the school district community. So I'm really excited to bring some energy and creativity to the board. I am a parent of one student and one up-and-coming pre-K student at the Dummerston School, and I'm looking forward to being able to give a voice to the parents and bring my experience with me to help move this mission forward.
And Jocelyn.
Hi, I'm Jocelyn Fritz, and I'm running for the Guilford seat. I recently moved here a year ago, moved from Florida, where the school system, I was not happy with the education my daughters were getting, so relocated up here, and they've made immense progress. And when I saw that Sean Murphy was retiring and opening a vacancy on the board, I decided I wanted to get involved and be a part of the district that was helping my children do better. So here I am.
Okay, thank you, everybody. So this next question, we're going to start with you, Matt. Regarding state and federal issues impacting education, our question here is, Governor Scott has proposed an overhaul of Vermont's education system that will dissolve local school boards, consolidate 119 school districts into 5, and change the education funding formula. Currently, it is the only plan being considered by the legislature. What do you think of the plan, and from what you've heard, how would it impact our schools?
It's a great question. I think the plan is a bit rushed and a bit ill-conceived. I think it lacks conversation that needs to be had across the state. When we think about consolidation and our state's previous experience in consolidation with Act 46, I believe that this was done poorly, and yet I will speak to how I've seen this district respond in a really positive way. coming together, sharing resources, supporting each other. I believe that the administration has done an amazing job given the resources that they had, the cards that they were dealt. However, I think this is something completely different to a completely different scale. The idea of reducing Vermont down to 5 districts seems untenable. One of the reasons why they pushed Act 46 was to find fiscal savings, and we have yet to see any of that report. My fear is that they will use the same language to force this through, and it won't produce any fiscal savings for us. So I'm personally against it, although I recognize that right now our education funding system isn't adequate. A conversation needs to be had. But I want there to be a conversation and not something top-down forced.
Okay, thank you, Matt. Kelly, on to you.
Well, I did not support the merger, Act 46. I did not support that merger. When I can say that we saw during COVID, our district really pulled together, and I think that was certainly a benefit. I do remain very concerned about the ramifications of this proposal, and those include how are teachers, students, parents going to access the superintendent's office, and how the effect that that's going to have on their access to that office and to that person, and the services that they provide to our students who need to be our primary focus. And so I remain concerned about that. But I am trying to take a positive look at this in a little bit more positive way. Not that I support it, but I'm hopeful that this is the start of a conversation. If we can look at this as any conversation needs to have a starting point, and if all parties are open to it being the starting point and not the end point, then I would like to see where this goes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. And next we have Jessica.
I think so. With the governor's proposal, I think it's radical, right? And I think people often are afraid of change naturally. It's kind of part of being human. Things are going as they are and it works. This proposal that he's proposed is completely radical. I don't think that it works for Vermont. And while it is the only proposal that is existing right now, I don't think that it is the only proposal. I think we have the legislator working on other proposals that we heard from the legislator on Monday at our forum that we had with the legislators. And I think they're really looking to us. So I look at it more of an opportunity for us to reach out to our community and our district and say, what do you want to see? It's clear. I don't think that anyone is arguing if something needs to change or not. I think we know something has to change with the way that school is funded in our state, and I don't think that's really up for debate. I think everyone kind of knows it's not working for taxpayers, it's not working for teachers, and so I think it's a really great opportunity to get creative at the community level and bring that to the legislator and say, this is what we want to see. These are our ideas and what we think will work as the people who are in the district every day. And I think we can work together in partnership with the legislator.
Okay.
I'm supposed to look there.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, Jocelyn.
I think that change works best from the bottom up, starting local and then heading up to the legislature and discussing it, and not so much having it dictated down, and having all the concerns of the local area be able to be communicated with the group that everybody's familiar with, and keep close knit and whatnot.
Okay, great. And back over to the side.
I spearheaded the special board meeting on Monday and invited all the legislators to come. I invited the AOE to come twice. And to put it bluntly, they refused. They suggested that questions and emails be sent to them and they will respond. There's a big difference between being front and center and hearing what the community has to say versus responding via email. That does not provide accountability. It does not provide transparency. It does not amount to actual communication with the community. I am very concerned with what is called a proposal when it is slated to go into effect 2026-27. Nader Hashim, at that meeting on Monday, suggested, these are my words, that we need a pause to consider this proposal. And yes, change is inevitable, and change is a good thing. But this is rushed. The legislature, it's short term right now before they end this session, and there are so many questions at this point. There's concern about rural schools in a 5-district state. There are concerns about healthcare costs, the increased needs of students at risk, the value of property and taxation. That's still embedded in the plan. So it doesn't solve the issues having to do with funding. So let's take a pause and figure out what the next step is.
Okay, thank you.
And that leads us to the other half of the equation for funding education, which is given what's happening on the federal level. Are you concerned about the possibility of losing federal funding and what that could mean for the schools here in Vermont? And if there's anything that the school district should be doing to help plan for possible cuts in federal funding? And I guess Jessica,
No, Kelly.
Kelly you get the first crack at that one.
Thank you. Anytime that you're talking about possibly funding going away that you might have relied on, of course, there's definitely a concern. I'm not sure that we know enough in order to say that how it's going to affect us, and I think that raises the level of concern when if you know. You can start to plan for things. You can start to look at the budget or look at things and try to economize, or look at ways that I know that in our supervisory union office, we have a fantastic person who, Frank Rucker, who looks for grants and things like that. So looking at other possibilities to help that funding is going to, I think, is going to be crucial. But at this point, unfortunately, we have so many things that we don't know. We don't know on the federal level, and now we're at a point where on the state level, we're still, that's kind of piled on. So I think we're in for some a lot of information to be thrown at us, and we'll have to look at how that's.
And you still want the job. Okay, Jessica.
Sure. I think, obviously, this administration, the Trump administration, is making a lot of changes and instilling a lot of fear. And I think, we have every right to be scared. They're coming for every program, every supportive program that supports the people who need it most. And if I've learned anything from the first administration and his first administration until now, it's that when things are going crazy at the federal level, to come locally and figure out solutions locally. From what I understand in our budget, a huge chunk of it, at least in our district, is not federally funded. And so, well, it's not nothing. I think it's around 1.5 million from what I understand. It's still something, but like Kelly was saying, there are grants we can look to. There are grant writers in our community, I'm sure, that would be willing to step up and help with this work. And so I think if I know anything about Vermonters is that we figure it out when we need to and when our backs are against the wall. And I think we will figure it out, and I think we can come together and do that.
Jocelyn?
I think that with the uncertainty on the federal level is another reason to stay local, make changes at the community level, and rely on each other to figure out a solution moving forward that works for everyone, as opposed to, having a ton of uncertainty from the state and the federal level.
Deborah?
I think what's going on the national level is unfortunate. It has forced us as a board to make sure that we have protections in place for students and their families who have immigrant status. Mark Spino, the superintendent, has worked with individuals from every school, especially those who monitor the locked doors of schools, so that no one is intimidated by a warrant that really is not a warrant granting access to a building. So there's that we've worked on. We also have concerns about DEI and the use of words like diversity and equity that will potentially, not potentially, but that will result, as the world is right now, in a loss of federal funding. And I'm very concerned about the loss of federal funding. It comes in all shapes and ways to our district. We have an early childhood program, Head Start, federally funded. We have to be very careful, and if that means we have to change DEI to XYZ, then that's what we should do. I agree. When our backs are against the wall, we need to protect ourselves, but there's stuff coming out of the federal government every day that creates confusion and darkness and fear, and I think that's valid.
Matt?
I would say the Trump administration is abhorrent and disgusting. I am deeply concerned about his agenda and the impact that it's going to have on our children. Their mental health, their access to education, quality education. And I'll echo the sentiments of fellow board members in saying that I am impressed with the way our administration, Frank Rucker, has been able to have a keen sense of what our district needs financially, and have been incredibly creative through grants and other processes to the way they utilized ESSER funds, I think, was exemplary in this state. And so I chalk that up to the tremendous work the administration is doing. And I think our board, as it currently is seated, is backing that work and will continue to do as such. But I am deeply troubled by the federal administration.
Okay. This next question, we're going to bring it back home to the local level here. How do you see your role as a board member, given that you will be representing towns beyond the one you live in? What will you do to understand the specific needs of all the schools and students in the district? And we're going to start with Jessica for this one.
Oh, yay. Okay. So I am excited to learn more about the district. We had a board summit a couple weeks ago where I learned more about all of the different schools that I was not directly involved with. And I was inspired by the work that the teachers and administrators are doing and the students and how they're performing. I really was inspired and excited about what's happening in the district. I think for me, for a personal level, I think what I plan to do is work to build relationships across other schools in the district that I may not have relationships in already, and work to get to know and understand the different cultures that exist in each school, because they all have their own culture. And so I'm looking forward to getting to know everyone and to meeting everyone, and I plan to do that in my term.
Jocelyn.
I would see my role as helping to negotiate and mediate any concerns from administration of the schools, the staff, the parents, the students, any of their concerns and things that they might see as problems, things that are going well, things that are not, and then, trying to work with the rest of the board to solve those issues for everyone.
Okay, thank you. Deborah.
we have a policy by motion that we meet at different school sites for board meetings. It creates a bit of confusion. Nobody has wound up in the wrong site on the wrong day. There are issues about technology, perhaps BCTV. And it's nice to be in the same location each time. However, the process of going from school to school as adults, even though it's after hours, we get to see the school and the administrator and the individuals in that community. We love showing off what we do well and what we love. So there is that. I think it's very important that board members visit schools during school time. That's when you really see what's going on, the ability to sit in a classroom. Now, that's a luxury for those of us who are not working full time anymore. But I think we need to make those steps, and we need to network. We need to network with administrators. We need to talk to teachers and staff without overstepping the boundary of the board. The board is never involved in implementation. The board stays in its lane of oversight. But that doesn't mean that we can't reach out and, if possible, attend a workshop during a professional development day. That's a hoot to do that. It's coming from a former teacher.
Thank you. Matt?
Yeah, you stole my thunder a little bit with the going around to different schools. I was going to point to that, but I was also going to point to and make a plug for each school's leadership councils. And I think that is a tremendous way that the board members get firsthand accounts with the culture and climate of each school and its uniqueness. So for those that don't know in the community, each school has a leadership council. It's kind of like the PTO, but a little bit different. Advising, giving consultation to the principal of that school. And this year, when we've had some changes in the board, I took the opportunity to be able to stand up and go to the Oak Grove and the Putney School leadership councils. And I also made it a point, even though I'm not appointed, Green Street is my leadership council, I made it a point to also join the BAM's leadership council this year. So even though I'm from Brattleboro, I think reaching out to and experiencing the other communities is crucial as a board member.
Okay, thank you. And Kelly?
Well, I was thinking about the same thing, about how we had gone to other schools. I, of course, have gone to every school in my time on the board previously. And I've been to almost all the schools in my personal life in different points of time. And I will agree with Deborah that going into a school, you get the kind of flavor for each community is different, and you kind of get the sense of what this community values by seeing the things that the students, the drawings, and what the school community is highlighting in those art projects and that sort of thing. I can say that my role would be to be open to every person, whether it was someone from Guilford or someone not from Guilford. That's definitely very important. And I will say that during my time on the board previously, when we would have people who would either be in person or be on the Zoom, most times they would recognize which town they were from. But the concern that they were expressing or the joy they wanted to share was never based, and how the board responded was never based on the town they were from. It was, were they a parent, were they a student, were they a teacher sharing something? It was all based on, you're part of this community, and that's how the response was.
We've been asking a lot of questions about process. Let's throw an education question in here. As you probably know, if you've had a busted pipe or something that needs work done, this area is in desperate need of more plumbers, mechanics, electricians, and other tradespeople, as is the entire state and the country. What would you do as a school board member to ensure that the trades are an available opportunity for all students, i.e. getting the Career Center more involved in the rest of the curriculum at the high school? And Jocelyn, you get the first one at this.
I think we need to recognize that not every child wants a career in like a college-based career and stuff. And so we help them, guide them to their strong suits and their interests and see what they want and, set them up in a way to succeed.
And I guess part of this also, if I want to throw in something, is the ability for students in Vermont to be able to do courses at the high school, at the Career Center, and at CCV, and walk away with college credit at the end of it, and a diploma, and possibly some trade stuff, which is pretty cool. Deborah?
You've described what goes on in our district. The Career Center is front and center. The Flexible Pathways is another brilliant program. There are a number of programs that exist already, and we need to support those programs. We need to highlight them. I think the percentage that I last heard, approximately 50% of our high school graduates are considering college. I am concerned when I'm sitting with students on the Student Advisory Committee, SAC, when someone does not have a sense of what they're doing next, and they are a high school senior. And I just saw one of my former, I'm going to call them my students, working at the Brattleboro Library. That makes me feel really good. I just want every student graduating to have a sense of direction. And I think no matter what we do in life, we have to have computational skills and we have to have literacy skills, because no matter what we do, we have to communicate. So I am concerned about curriculum. I am concerned about the CIP, the Continuous Improvement Plan goals. Last year, this year, improve literacy by 10%, improve mathematics by 10%. That goes without question. Thank you.
Matt?
Yeah, one of the other CIP goals is also to improve our graduation rate. Unfortunately, despite best efforts, and I'll chalk a lot of this up to COVID, we have a graduation rate that's below the state average currently. So it means we've got some work to do. And I do think that the flexible pathways, excuse me, the dual enrollment program, during the summit that we recently had, I was also inspired when we were talking about the dual enrollment program, specifically for students who may not see themselves as being able to attend college. And they have the opportunity in our high school to take a college-bearing credit class and maybe perhaps unlock some potential to see themselves as a learner and to experience that. Now, I think Nancy Weiss in the technical school is doing tremendous work as well. So I am particularly focused on the graduation rate, ensuring that our students can see their own potential.
Melanie?
Well, this hits me very close to my heart. My one reason is my youngest son decided that he said, I'm not doing college. And during COVID, he was in high school during COVID, and we were so thankful that there was the Career Center, and he went through the electrician course, and he now is in his third year of an apprenticeship. And I think about my mother. My mother worked at, it's now Vermont Adult Learning, but it was adult basic education when she started, when I was in second grade. She worked there for almost 35 years, and she helped students who, for one reason or another, couldn't get their diploma. They couldn't finish school, whatever it was, a variety of reasons. School didn't offer the services in a way that would help them, or maybe it was someone who had to leave school and it's years later and they are coming back for their GED. And so I saw how small things like that, I mean, it's not a small thing, but how that could improve on someone's life, and how the effect that not having a diploma or a GED could influence their pathway. And I would really like to see, in addition to being a homeowner who struggles to find people to come and do work on my house as well, I'm sure everybody does, but I would really like to see every student feel like they ownership in their own meaningful path, you know, that they know where they're going and they feel good about it.
Jessica.
Sure. I don't have much to add as far as how to go about, getting more students into trades. I will use a bit of a personal anecdote. When I was in high school, I didn't go to this high school, but when I was in high school, I was not even aware of the tech school that other students could go to until much later in my high school career, and it was never presented to me as an option. My option, everyone always told me, you have to go to college, you're going to college, you're going to college, that I didn't put much thought into it. I just worked as hard as I could. I got into college, I went to college, and I was paying off my student loans until January. I just finished paying them off, and I've been out of college for 13 years, and it would have been longer if I didn't have a bit of assistance. So I think, while I think college is so important for a lot of people, it's not financially, it doesn't work well for a lot of people. And I think the trades are something that you can always do. So I like the idea of having more exploratory and figuring out if a trade is for you or if it's something you want to do alongside. And you can also go to college after you take a trade class. So that's, I think, what I'm interested in, learning more about how that all works in our district. So.
Okay.
We at the end. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Next question relates to more participation among voters. Those are the town meetings are a tried and true tradition, but lately the attendance hasn't been that great. So the school budget is approved in an in-person annual meeting. Last year, less than 2% of the voters in Brattleboro, Dummerston, Guilford, and Putney attended the meeting and voted on a $65 million budget. Given the low participation rate, would you advocate for a change in the approval format to encourage more participation, such as an Australian ballot? And we'll be back to Deborah now, right?
Yes.
I really don't know. I really don't know. That's a huge question. The pros and cons are very clear. One-on-one engagement is what Vermont is about. I don't know that we should be so quick to move from that to the binary of yes, no. But I do think 2% is inadequate and not sufficient to represent the community. I think we need to stir the pot. I think we need to agitate a bit. I think that the governor's proposed reforms is perhaps a mechanism to draw people to the annual district meeting on March 18, which will take place at BUHS. This is a plug for it, and I believe it starts at 7 p.m. Is that correct? Starts at 7 p.m. So I did reach out to a board member earlier today to say that even as we plan for March 11, which is an informational meeting, a budget informational meeting, we've got to advertise heavily using social media, using the local publications of the Commons and the Reformer, but more than just a plug in the meetings column that can get buried. We need to push ourselves forward, front and center.
Matt.
I agree with Deborah that this is a large question to be able to answer. And so I too find myself not willing to support either. I think a discussion is worth having. But moreover, what I would suggest and what I see sort of my role as a board member is to support community engagement. And I think the place to do that is in the schools. So I look at the community outreach efforts. I look at the activities that each of our schools are doing, particularly now since COVID, to start to create places and spaces where families, students, parents, community members can come back into the schools, because during COVID they weren't allowed to be in the schools. We're inviting them back now. We're giving them a reason to come together. And so I think if we can start to build those communities, those connections, those circles back in our schools, that would then drive civic engagement. So I see that as my role to support the good work that the administration and schools are doing to reach back out to the communities and the parents.
Okay, thank you. And Kelly?
I feel like I'm building on what Deborah was saying and what Matt was saying, in that I would be concerned about having a yes or no. It takes away the ability for the public to ask questions, for clarifications during the very first meeting of the district when we went through the budget. There were a few things that were added. It takes away the public's ability to engage with the board and engage with the budget itself. But what I would like to see, I feel like the budget, we think about budget season, that term is I've heard used a number of times, and we think about that as a certain time and then the budget's passed and then we're done. And I almost think maybe we need to have, like, the next month, we need to be talking about, okay, well, here, this part of the budget is supporting these activities here. And trying to maybe, in community engagement, getting the community to understand that the budget is a year-round thing. It's the administration is starting to, at some point, they start to build the budget for the next year. So really an understanding of how next month, or 2 months down the line, or 3 months down the line, what is in the budget, how that is affecting those activities.
Okay. Jessica?
Sure. I think, to kind of echo everyone else, I think I don't know what the answer is either. I think low voter turnout has been an issue for, most elections other than presidential elections, and even with the presidential election, low voter turnout is a problem. And so I think figuring out a way to get folks more engaged, I think, if I had to guess, I think people are busy and they don't think about these things. There's so much information flying at people all the time. I'm sure just sitting here, all of us have gotten at least 10 notifications on our phone about this and that and the other thing, and half of it is unimportant. And so I think figuring out a way to kind of break through all that clutter and really help people understand how their vote and their voice is going to matter in this situation is what's going to inspire more people to go and vote, because people aren't going to vote if they don't think that it matters or that their voice makes a difference or whatever. So
Okay, thank you. Jocelyn?
I think everybody's kind of covered everything, but I do agree. I think people are busy, and I think that we should lean into technology and encourage people to at least zoom into the meetings and to be involved as best they can. If they can't make it in person, that's okay. Dial in, listen in, put in your 2 cents. We want to hear from you, and their vote matters, their voice matters.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and now we get to the last question, and since I think we're running a bit ahead of schedule, we'll make it 2 minutes for this question for a response. So you get a whole 30 seconds more to say your piece. But anyways, this is the big question that every candidate has to answer at some point or another, and that is, what distinguishes you from the rest of the people that are running on the ballot, or in short, why should I vote for you? And how do voters contact you? So please remember to give your contact information. So the constituents can get a hold of you and bend your ear about their concerns. So, Matt, you're first. Why should somebody vote for you? Besides, you're the only one on the ballot for that seat.
Well, the pickings are pretty slim for my seat. So, but in lieu of that, I would ask for your vote because I hope you see and understand that I care deeply for the students in our district. I care deeply and I appreciate the work that our teachers and staff do for our children. I'm an invested community member. And I hope that folks see that uniquely what I bring to the table is an understanding of mental health and a commitment to high quality education for all of our students, along with a focus and commitment to maintaining fiscal responsibility. So we've done tremendous work. I'm proud of the work that this board and this administration has done. And if we'd like to continue that good work, please continue to vote for me. Thank you.
Kelly, now you have to make a case.
Oh, my goodness. Though on a personal level, though all my 4 children are graduated, I have 2 grandsons who I'm hoping that where they live, there is someone who, even if they don't have children in the schools, that they will be as invested in the education of those areas. I have to go to the bank. I have to go to the grocery store. I go to many other places, and I interact with people who may currently be students or may have been students, or I will be interacting with people who are current students now. So I think in some sense we all have a vested interest in making sure that our students have a good education and are prepared for life outside of the high school. And so that's really one of my very, very strong passions is preparing students for beyond high school. I have experience on the board. I have been for a total of 6 years on various school boards. I'm a collaborative listener. I think that everyone should have an opportunity to speak. Whether I agree with them or don't, that doesn't matter. People need to be heard, and I think that's the important part. Then you talk about what the solutions that you can come to.
Contact.
Oh, and your contact information.
I don't think we got Matt's either.
Well, my email would probably be best, which is KMYOUNG, the digit 4, @gmail.com.
And back to you, Matt, since you forgot.
Yeah, my apologies. So folks can contact me, my email as well. That is mschibley@wsesdvt.org.
Okay. Jessica.
Sure. Okay. I am also running unopposed, but I would still appreciate it if everyone came out and voted, just because I think voting is important and getting out and engaging civically is important, and you meet people along the way. So that's my plug for voting next Tuesday, March 4th, Tuesday, March 4th at town meeting. Or if you have your ballot, I think you can drop it off. So I bring to the board, I'm a very creative person and I'm a very open person. So I'm always willing to listen to what people want to say and their ideas. And I like to build on that. And so I like to think of myself as a practical idealist. So I love I would love for things to be ideal, but at the end of the day, I know that being totally ideal is not practical. And so I like to strike a balance and figure out what can we do as a board to better support our students and teachers and administration and families and everyone who is a stakeholder in our district, and how can we build a stronger community that's not only going to produce excellent graduates, but also how are we going to foster a sense of safety and belonging at school so every student feels supported and comfortable going to school to learn. And so that is what I'm going to bring to the table, and that is what's going to guide me as I learn more about how it all works and all the process, which I'm really been enjoying. Robert's Rules of Order is next to my bedside table. And so I'm excited to do that, and I hope you'll vote for me on March 4th. And my email is jeverlith, EVERLITH, at WSESDVT.org.
Hey, Jocelyn.
I know I'm new to the area. I bring a different perspective from recently moving. I'm very invested in the district because my children go here and I want to see them succeed. I want to see all the children succeed, their friends and everyone else. I've got 25 years in information technology where I've, data analysis and providing solutions based on that data analysis. And it gives me a way of looking at the data that we have and hopefully coming up with solutions. And my email would be jocelynmfritz@gmail.com.
And Deborah, even though you're unopposed,
I would still like the vote.
yes.
It's affirmation of these past 3 years. It's affirmation of my values. And when you ask why someone should vote for me, I think about my life experience. I am a recently retired educator. I'm an academic through and through, graduate school, 10-year stint in computer software, which I did not like at all. It was not humanitarian. Started teaching in the South Bronx in a public school, and then moved to Horace Mann, which is a private school in another section of the Bronx. So I have 35 years of teaching experience. I'm a trained facilitator through SEED, Seeking Equity and Diversity in Education. It's a brainchild of Peggy McIntosh. And I moved here before COVID. My son has been here for 20 years. He owned a couple of bars on Elliott Street before COVID. He's fully invested. He lives directly across from the Oak Grove School. And so my grandchildren go there. And golly, if we are not invested in our children, if we are not invested in the next generation of citizens who vote, who think critically, who don't just accept what's handed to them, who ask more questions than just saying, well, it's on my, how do they get news? 150 words? Really? So I think we have to invest in this process, in education, in professional development for teachers, in support for teachers and staff, because if we don't support them, they cannot teach and support our children. My contact info, that's the one that stymied me, because it's like, oh my God. But Matt, thank you very much. My contact info is D as in Deborah, Stanford, STANFORD, at WSESDVT.org. Thank you.
Okay, it is time to wrap up tonight's program. A sincere thank you to all the candidates who took the time to be here tonight. A recording of this live stream is available immediately on Brattleboro Community Television's YouTube page and will be on their website broadcasting on Comcast channels 1078 and 1079 in the days to come before the election on Tuesday, March 4th.
And don't forget, the election is on Tuesday, March 4th. And if you want to know where you're going to vote and what time you have to vote, contact your town clerk. There's still a couple more days to get an early ballot in. Also contact your town clerk for that, and please vote.
Thank you again for coming.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for having
And
me.
thank you for BCTV.
And thank you, and good evening.